What's up, Whiskey Gang? David Thomas Tao with VinePair.com. Today we are looking at Booker's Bourbon Batch 2023-03. That means it's the third release of 2023. This is the Mighty Fine Batch. I love reviewing Booker's Bourbon because it is always a little bit different. You can get really nuanced with it. Let's see how this one holds up. But before we get into that, make sure you subscribe to VinePair on the YouTube.com. And also, if you want more detailed notes, like really detailed, real nerd stuff, click on the link in the description below. That's my written review. I go into much more detail. I would call it an insane amount of detail, maybe a gratuitous amount of detail, but you can decide for yourself. Let's talk about Booker's Bourbon. This really launched the cask strength small batch revolution in American whiskey in the 80s. Booker No of Jim Beam was giving out cask strength, uncut whiskey to some of his friends and family, and the powers that be at Beam decided, well, why don't we just sell it? So that's the story of Booker's. It's a little more nuanced than that, but we went back 40 years for that. That's good enough at a high level. Booker's Bourbon releases about 4 times a year. They normally have 4 batches. They all have weird, quirky names. This is called Mighty Fine Batch. If you want to know why it's called that, click on my full written review below. And they're all aged for roughly the same time. It's over 6 years, like 6 years, 8, 9, 10 months, or 7 years, 1, 2, 3 months. There is some variation. There have been special releases. They actually released a rye back around 2016. That's now really famous. But this one is 7 years, 1 month, and 10 days old. And it is 63.3% alcohol, which is about what you expect from a Booker's release. This retails for $89.99. That's a suggested retail. Releases 4 times a year. Normally, pretty common to find. There are a lot of Booker's bottles out there. It's a limited release technically, but you should be able to find it for, in my experience, in most markets, within $30 of suggested retail. More than that, it might cause pause, but again, 90 bucks, should be able to find it. They tend to go fairly quickly, and liquor stores don't tend to get that many of them. But yeah, this is a bottle I look forward to finding on shelves, and normally am able to snag a couple. Oh, that was a good pop. Let's nose this sucker. Booker's Bourbon, to me, has traditionally heavy barbecue notes like mesquite, applewood, smoked wood. The notes I get when I first nose this are popcorn, both buttered popcorn and like caramel popcorn. Kind of interesting stuff. Maybe even candy corn. I actually like candy corn. That might be a cancelable take. You can stop watching now if you don't like candy corn. Beneath that, ooh, just splashed on me. Getting too into my whiskey. It splashes back. The whiskey tastes back. I do get some of those barbecue notes. They're not as pronounced and not as bold as on some previous Booker's batches. And look, I drink every one of these. Like, I try every batch that comes out, so I am very familiar with Booker's. And this is not super heavy on the barbecue end of the spectrum. That's okay. I get 2 other categories of scent here. I get vegetables, which is actually quite pleasant. It's like caramelized shallots and roasted carrots. That's kind of cool. A little root veg for you. And then I do get fruit. I get kind of a sour apple note on this, or like unripe plums. You combine that with the sweetness from the popcorn elements and a little bit of that mesquite barbecue. This is actually one of the more balanced noses I've sensed on a Booker's in a long time. Let's taste it. Let's taste it in profile because we're professionals. Did you get my good side? Ooh. Ooh. Okay. I'm at a little bit of a loss for words, which I never am on Booker's, which is a good thing. When Booker's is really good, it takes me a second. There is a really cool interplay between sweet and spice here. They hit like at the same time, so it's tough to pick them apart. I don't have a 2-pronged tongue like a lizard. Baking spice, really rich baking spice, cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, and there's a lot of sweetness. There's like brown sugar, a little bit of molasses, maybe even honey, and it kind of like dissipates toward the side of my palate really nicely. Ooh. This is the best Booker's I've had in a long time. Wow. Oh my God. We might be back. I'm gonna try to steal this bottle, actually. I'm gonna steal this from VinePair. I'm gonna take it home. They're not gonna stop me. That might stop me. I'm gonna try though. Man, that's tasty. All right. It's sweet. There's some spice. It's oaky. Booker's is oaky. The oak is strong with this one, as with all Booker's. It's chocolatey. Okay, and there's a classic Beam note that's nutty. A lot of people say it's peanuts. Some people at Beam say it's hazelnuts. For me, this is peanut butter. This whiskey tastes a lot like creamy peanut butter, and I am freaking here for it, folks. I am here for it. Oh my goodness. Straight up, this is the most balanced Booker's batch I've had in years. However, I almost want, like, if I have to criticize, I'm a critic, that's what I do, that's what I get paid to do. I would want like a skosh more fruit. I'd like a little bit more fruit, but like, honestly, there's not a ton to criticize with this. This is a really, really good batch. Do the finish. Gotta drink it again. Woo, oh no. Nice finish. A little bit of sweetness, vanilla, again, that creamy peanut butter, a little bit of spice. Look, this isn't the most complex bourbon you're ever gonna try, but what this batch of Booker's does, it does really well. That finish just keeps going. Oh, that creamy peanut butter, like sweet, salty, savory, spicy, woody, a little bit of wood sugar on that. All right, Booker's, all right, Beam, I'll take it. Let's talk score. This Booker's batch is a 94 for me, and it almost got a 95. I know Booker's is capable of a broad spectrum of flavors, even though the ages and proofs tend to be within a fairly narrow band. If it had had just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit more fruit, this would have been a 95 for me. But a 94 still makes it the best Booker's I have had in years as far as their regular releases. Their anniversary releases tend to be a bit more special. This is really good. And I gotta say, for me, Booker's gets to be a little bit up and down. This is a really, really strong release from the folks at Beam. Booker's Bourbon, mighty fine batch. It is truly mighty fine. They must have known it to name it that. Yeah, for me, I'm gonna, if I see another bottle on shelves, I'm gonna grab it, or I'm going to steal it from the VinePair office because this is my favorite Booker's Bourbon in some time. Booker's Bourbon, a mighty fine batch, the third release from 2023. I'm actually really looking forward to the fourth release to see if they can top this. That's gonna be a lot. That's gonna be a lot to ask. Do you have a favorite Booker's batch? Let me know in the comments below. Have you tried this Booker's batch? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think I'm cute? Let me know in the comments below. Until then, I'm David Thomas Tao for VinePair.com. Thanks for tuning in.